Paul, thanks for joining us. Clean sheet and a decent performance. It's not a bad opening day.
No, it could have been worse. You know, I've just had a quick look at the scores, and there's a few managers I'm sure that would happily have taken a 0-0. You know, that doesn't change the fact we would have liked to have won the game, of course. Thought we started the game well. I thought we were the better team in the main, but kind of towards the end of the game it got a bit sort of scrappy. We had a couple of good spells, you know, like I said, started well, and another spell during the first half, and after the break we started well. But as soon as, you know, they made the substitution up top, I think that gave them a little bit of a spark and life, and, you know, we knew he's a threat. I thought the two centre-halves in general did well against him, but from our corner, a break and a penalty. And again, had Jake not saved that, credit to Steve Crowson as well and Mason in terms of the work they do to try and at least predict where that ball's going to go. You know, we could have been sat here with a defeat, which I don't think we'd have deserved, but it's part of the game. And as you say, you know, it's first a clean sheet and a first point on the board. So we'll take some positives, but as always, want to be better.
Yeah, it was pretty tight that first half. It was only the second half where the game started to breathe life and became quite exciting for the fans, even though it finished 0-0.
Yeah, I think we had, like I said, a good bit of momentum in that second period. I think the keeper's made a great save and tipped Issa's shot onto the post, and then Cam's had a shot from distance. I think right at the end, admittedly you don't get him too often, but 100% Rakil's having his shirt tugged when he's come on, and then I think that then gets in his head in terms of he slides and gets booked. But, you know, overall, the biggest chance in the game was obviously the penalty, which, like I said, would have been extremely harsh on us had we come away with nothing today. But again, we wanted to try and get off to a winning start. It hasn't quite happened, but nothing would have been decided today, no matter what the scoreline, good or bad, something in between. And, you know, we move on very quickly. We know that the challenges are coming thick and fast, and we know we've got some really tough challenges ahead, starting with Mansfield in the Cup on Tuesday.
Yeah, you mentioned about the penalty save. Good save from Jake. And you mentioned about Steve Crowson doing the work with him. How hard is that first game of the season when you don't know particularly which player's going to take the penalty?
I think the thing now is we'd looked. Steve always does that anyway, and we, you know, going back years, we did it when we lost Bristol Rovers. And I think we kind of got them all right, just couldn't quite get the save that we would have liked on that day. So it's one thing having an idea, two, then, you know, actually sort of making it happen, if you like. And he might have changed his way. Today he didn't. He still got to save it though, and he saved it, and the rebound, because there was a big sort of celebration around me, and then I could see that the ball had come off him. I was like, it's not done yet. And even after Jake saved the second sort of follow-up, it was a little period then, it seemed to go on for an age, it probably wasn't that long, but where they kept sort of getting the ball back. I was waiting for us to, you know, get the ball ourselves and clear it up the pitch.
Harvey Rogers, I thought, had a very good game on his debut for the Mariners today, and he also could have scored an absolute screamer,
yeah,
shooting from about 25 yards, which is quite rare to see, you know, so early in the game from a centre-back.
Yeah, I mean, we've really liked Harvey, and when we looked at him before we signed him, and obviously assessing what he could bring to us, one of them is how he's on the front foot, he's brave. I'm going to throw it out there now, at some point he'll get caught because of being on the front foot, but in the main I like that. I know he's very sort of aggressive in his approach, and I don't mean kind of aggressive sort of bullying people, but just trying to get to the ball first. And he also is willing to step out with it, and on that occasion he did, drove forward, hit a good shot, the keeper again made a good save. But probably that's a bit of frustration. I think most of the efforts today were probably from distance. There was a great move first half, a good ball in. Rosie just couldn't quite get over the top of it when the keeper had sort of maybe slightly misjudged it. But yeah, probably the other shots were from distance.
Where do you think Town could have improved today? I guess the finishing is the obvious thing.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that, but also I think more so just the game got a little bit scrappier. I think, pre-season, it just shows for whatever you do pre-season, the game comes. We wanted to be more direct to start with. That was part of the sort of plan, if you like, because we wanted to get the crowd behind us. We wanted to put Wimbledon under pressure, and we didn't want them just to come and everything be in front of them. But then, like, towards the end of the game, just got a little bit too scrappy for my liking, a little bit open. But towards the end, we knew there was going to be extra minutes added on, and wasn't disappointed. I think it's funny because Chris mentioned it beforehand, and I think 9 might be the new sort of 4 they added on. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But it is ultimately been a longer game, and with Raquel and Arthur having, Raquel only just back in training this week, Arthur having just joined us, couldn't sort of risk that too early in the game. But, in the end we sort of 2 out and out wide players there and 2 centre forwards just to try and win the game. If we'd have been sat here again and it would have cost us potentially, I'd have kicked myself, but we wanted to try and get the win for everyone concerned. It just wasn't quite meant to be.
Yeah, you mentioned about the time added on, 9 minutes. How did you get on with the other new directives? So, like, one person only in the technical area and things like that?
Yeah, I think, I'm sure at some point he'll catch us out, but I'm quite kind of relaxed. I'm happy stood up most of the time, but occasionally you'll see me going in and having a sit down and having a chat and discuss what's going on out there. So I think we managed that fine today. I think their left back got booked for kicking the ball away. I think in truth that's probably still the caution anyway. They're just on it more now. And in terms of the restarts, which is the one that was the major concern for me, I think both teams seem to handle that well. But I'm sure again at some point we'll either have an opposition manager, players very frustrated, or myself and my players. But today was fine. They added on time. I don't mind at all, to be honest. I think as long as it's fair and it doesn't, like I said, just become, it's just 9 minutes. Well, is it or is it? And I think in the end we might have played 12. I think their bench was saying, because they were getting a little bit wound up with that. I think probably in the end they were happy to take the point back to London. But yeah, I think today was not a bad day from that point of view.
And finally, was it just nice to be back playing in front of a big crowd as well? I saw you before the game just have a look at all the stands, nice and full up Lundell Park.
Yeah, over 7,000, wasn't it? And a decent following from Wimbledon as well. That's what we want, and I think the games that we've got sort of early on, certainly irrespective of results, there'll be some big crowds. We want to try and entertain, we want to win games, but we know when the fixtures came out what a testing start it is. I'd like to think we'll get better as we go along, but like I said, I thought we did okay. We did okay. We want to do better, but it was nice, just even in the dressing room. The first sort of pre-season game against Grimsby Borough, that was nice, in a way, but obviously this is a miles bigger step up in terms of your feelings and the emotion, the adrenaline going, albeit still, don't know, maybe just experience tells you still, I'm kind of, I think at that point, relatively sort of relaxed about most things. But yeah, it would have been nice to get in the car and drive home thinking about a victory.
Cheers, Paul. Thank you.
Thank you.